This is AJ Ali, your host of Profiles of Love, and I am back, and we've got a really incredible man with us today. You're going to love this segment, Dr. Ming Wang. I'm going to read his bio and then bring him in. This is a very short version of his bio, by the way, because it goes on for hours, all the things that he has accomplished in his life, and still more to come. Dr. Ming Wang graduated from both Harvard and MIT with a medical degree and a PhD in laser physics. He is the subject of the riveting film Sight, co-starring Greg Kinnear and Terry Chen, and produced by my friend and former neighbor, Darren Mormon. I attended a private screening recently as the guest of a friend named Steve Adler. The movie, which comes out May 24th, 2024, tells Ming's incredible life story from his early days as a child in China during the Cultural Revolution to the amazing story of his invention of the amniotic membrane contact lens, for which he obtained 2 U.S. patents. To date, the amniotic membrane contact lens has been used by tens of thousands of eye doctors throughout the world in nearly every nation, and millions, I said millions of people have had their eyesight restored. He founded the internationally known Wang Vision Institute in 2002, performed the world's first laser artificial cornea implantation, and has personally performed more than 55,000 procedures, including procedures on more than 4,000 doctors. You know he's the guy to go to when you want it done right. His story is one of perseverance, hope, faith, and love. You can learn more about his extensive work at drmingwang.com. We'll put that in the chat. Learn more about him in this edition of Profiles of Love. Dr. Wang, aloha and welcome, my friend.
Thank you, AJ. It's an honor to be on your show.
I'm so happy to have you here. I must tell you, the film was incredible. It had my wife Jane and I both in tears at times, and just really, really, pardon the pun, opened my eyes to a lot of, just the work that you have done has been incredible. And I know you've been showered with accolades, but you deserve even more heaped upon you because you've changed so many people's lives and helped so many families. What a blessing. What a blessing. The film was incredible. I hope everyone here who watches this tunes in and watches the film. It's coming out May 24th, right, in theaters, right?
Yes, May 24th, Friday, opening night, Memorial Day weekend, and it is in Asian Heritage Month. So it's a film about the life of immigrant. It's a film about freedom. It's a film about faith. It's a film about reminding all of us that we are so blessed in living in America, that we should really showing our appreciation to this country by being more willing to work together across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions, and to find that common ground that we all share as fellow Americans.
Common ground and seeking to bridge divides is something that this country desperately needs right now and has for a long time, but it seems like things are getting worse, doesn't it?
Yes, and I really been thinking about this, AJ. Why are we so polarized? Why? And I've been thinking, and I realized that the polarization or the increasing inability for us to work across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions to solve the problems that we really need to solve as a nation, which are gun violence, opioid crisis, environmental disaster, racial tension, economy, healthcare, job, education. The reason we are not focusing on the problem, but that so unwilling to work together, is because, in my opinion, which is what this film shows, is because we have forgot how blessed we are that live in America. And then when we may say, is it because we forgot to appreciate what we have taken for granted? That's why we're so polarized, unwilling to work together? I said, correct. For example, like a marriage, when husband, wife, when you have problems, if you don't appreciate what you have, the marriage, you're more likely to yell and shout and hurting each other's feelings.
Yeah.
But having the same amount of difference, if you do appreciate marriage, appreciate what you have, you're more willing to say, honey, we're different on this thing, but don't we have so much else in common? So the polarization, the division of nation is a symptom that reflecting deeper cause. And that deeper cause is that living in a country that always had freedom, we have taken it for granted. It may just take a film of an immigrant who used to not have freedom to wake us all up and to tell America that we got it good. Let's try to work together across our different differences, racially, economically, politically, and all that. Let's find that common ground to build up America.
I agree 100%. My family lineage comes from literally all over the world. My grandfather's ancestors came from Africa. My father's father came from India. He grew up in Calcutta and came here and made a life for himself and paved the way for us to have a better life. And from the stories that I have heard, I'm glad that we're here and able to live this American dream. But I like you want there to be so much more in terms of people finding common ground. In terms of people just appreciating what we have here, and also to know that if we work together and we love each other, that we can make things so much better. I want to dig a little bit into you, the person, behind the title and all of the accomplishments. Let's talk about something fun for a moment. Like what is it about you that you haven't shared with anybody else? Just me and a few friends. We want to know the real. What do you what's your likes, dislikes, maybe something that makes you queasy or afraid? What's going on behind the scenes?
I will share AJ two little secrets. One of the question I get from friends all the time is, Ming, do you have 48 hours or something in the day? Or, how come you are always so happy? I'm sure that some of the things you do may not work out either, right? And I have two answers to that question. Number one, I've realized a long time ago, attending some of the wonderful schools, as you mentioned earlier in the introduction, I'm a graduate from Harvard and MIT, got 2 doctorate degrees, one in laser physics, one in medicine. So attending these top schools, and I realized a long time ago that there were about 20% of kids who were smarter than me, about 20%.
Okay.
So I realized that I cannot change my IQ, but I can change one thing. I can learn from these smarter kids.
Mm,
Every time there's an exam and some kids score higher than me, so I will pay attention, observe, learn from them, study them, learn from them. How could they do so well, and what were their secret? So I've been doing that ever since I was 17. That learning from the smarter kids. So
mm,
over time, in my lifetime, I've accumulated those pros, 77 of them. How can you do things more efficiently, more successfully? So I use these 77 pros all the time, every day. So recently, some parents said, Ming, can you share those little pros you always use? I said, sure. So I do a once a month Zoom online and share these pros and tell everybody the stories behind those pros, how I learned them.
mm.
So that's one answer in terms of how I do some of the things a little bit more efficiently.
Okay.
Second, in terms of why I'm always happy, I found that human nature that we tend to define our happiness by if we do something, if it's successful or not, the objective outcome. But I realized that I don't have control often in life about the objective outcome. I may do the best I can, but it may or may not happen.
Mm,
So long time ago, I intentionally changed my definition of happiness from objectively, whatever I'm doing, if successful or not, to
Mhm.
subjectively, whatever I'm doing, if I have done my best or not.
Mm.
If I'm looking back, if I'm doing the best, then I'll be happy. So I change the definition of happiness from did it happen or not to if I've done my best or not. It's interesting because we are human beings. We all want to be happy, right? So
Yeah.
as a result, I always doing my best now, always 99%, 100% because I want to look back and be happy about it. So that's a positive loop. So that's the answer to the question that, how come do I have 48 hours a day or how come I'm happy all the time? Because I'm not affected by the outcome, the result. I'm affected by if I've done my best. And the other little secret is that I love dancing, ballroom dancing in particular.
Okay.
And I started actually learn dancing during Cultural Revolution in China, trying to avoid the devastating fate of being sent away to labor camp. A fate fell upon the life of 20 million young people during the Cultural
Mm.
Revolution in China. So in order to escape being sent away to labor camp, I have to learn music instrument, I have to learn dancing. So I
Okay.
learned that to survive then. And after I came to America as a poor student with only $50 many years ago, I end up at Harvard Medical School and MIT studying my MD degree. So a bunch of us got together. We said, we're going to pick something that not expected of bookworms. We're doing something. So we picked ballroom dancing. But then we formed a team. We competed the NCAA or ballroom dancing national collegiate championship. We were dead last. So then we hired a coach, and coach said, all the boys, you're all the leaders. We said, oh yeah, that's all the ladies' fault. They could not follow. And she said, no, do you know, man, before you lead, there's something you have to do called pre-lead. We said, what's that? Well, you're not supposed to just move when you want to feel like moving. You have to expand in your body and indicate to your partner, the lady, your intention of moving. Then you have to give her the time to understand your intention and give you feedback. You want to go one way, she may want to go to the other way. And you compromise, negotiate, coordinate. Eventually, when you know it's not your plan, it's not her plan, it's your together plan, then and only then you start moving. So ballroom dancing is not just about music, it's not just about exercise that we recognize. Ballroom dancing is about human connection. And that really helped me as an eye doctor because I realized that AJ, if I want to fix your eyes, we all have the experience like seeing doctor and doctor just throw in a bunch of medical jargons and leave the room, say, nurse, you follow up. I said, doctor, did you hear me? Do you know what I'm seeing, what I'm not seeing? Do you care? So I learned from beginnings that I want to look at the world from my patient's perspective. Because if I want to fix your eye problems, AJ, I have to look at the world through your eyes because you're number one expert in the world in this 8 billion people planet, you're number one expert in describing what you are seeing, what you are not seeing. So if I
Mm.
want to fix your eye problem, I have to see the world from your perspective. I have to listen to you carefully. I have to figure out exactly what you're seeing, what you're not seeing. I have to speak the language of the listener, not the speaker. So that I learned from ballroom dancing.
Wow. That's incredible. I really, really hope that many doctors and others, listen to this and really, really take it to heart. Because what you just said right there is one of the secrets to a successful life for individuals and communities. Just taking that step to listen.
Yes.
Wow. And you play, in addition to ballroom dancing, which by the way, I have no rhythm, none. And I've tried every kind of dancing there is. So maybe is there hope for me? Can you maybe teach me a few steps one day?
Yeah, no problem, AJ. I always from friends like you say, oh, I don't have any dance. I have two left feet. I said, well, don't worry, AJ. We got dancing instructors who have two right feet. We'll teach you, no problem.
That's what I'm gonna need. So you also play the erhu, right?
Yes, the Chinese violin. And I learned that during Cultural Revolution in China as well, without which I would be sent away to labor camp
Hmm.
as well, like 20 million others during Cultural Revolution. So it's Chinese violin, spelled E-R-H-U, erhu, and it has two strings. And in the film side, it talked about why I learned erhu is basically to try to survive. Now it's a hobby. I use that to express my appreciation to this wonderful country, America, that has given me the opportunity, the freedom to pursue life, dream, and also to find my faith, in particular in Jesus Christ. So I'm very grateful to America, and I use that, play the instrument to express my appreciation to folks. I bring my instrument with a guitarist and a cellist. We go to companies, we go to gatherings and play those instruments. And we play songs from all over the world. We play Italian songs, Hispanic songs, Chinese songs, Japanese songs, American songs, and French songs, all because it's all about that common ground, isn't it? We may have different political persuasion, we may have different religion, we may have different nationality, ethnicities, different lifestyles, different worldviews, but we all need to eat. We all love music, and we all
Yes.
enjoy dance.
Yes, yes. Well, most of us enjoy dance. I enjoy it. I just can't do it very well. You can ask my wife.
No
Um,
problem.
music. I've produced some music. I've written some music. I love music. I love the healing power of it. And we have on September 17th, so that's a few months after your film comes out, and hopefully after millions of people around the country and around the world see it, we have the sixth annual Love is the Answer Day celebration. So every September 17th, and that's the day that my brother passed away and went to heaven, and he left me with these words. His final words were, "Love is the answer." And I've taken those words to heart, and we've built our entire program around those very important words. So on the September 17th every year, we have a celebration that's global, and we have people on a Zoom, and we have people doing activities in their community all over the world. And maybe we can grab you for a few minutes and have you join us and talk and maybe play a little music for the
Yeah.
world on that day.
I would love to. I would love to. Yeah. September 17th is easy to remember because it also is American Constitution Day. And
Yes.
1787 or something, the Constitution was signed into law. And so it's about we need to recognize that, it's about respect each other as fellow Americans.
Yep.
And we are all born with unalienable right for happiness and joy. And so I think it's remind us why America is a magnet, attract people from around the world. It's the
Yes.
system of fairness, the Constitution, and to me as a Christian, it's the Bible, the teaching by Christ. So, so I will remember that day, September 17th. Yeah,
All
which is
right. And we'll
yeah,
we'll stay in touch and we'll make sure that we can do some fun things together that day.
yeah,
Where
sure,
wherever you are in the world on that day, because I know you travel a lot.
yes.
So we go through four letters when we do these interviews, these profiles of love. We spell out the word love with L-O-V-E. The first letter is learn. So we learned a little bit about you. The second letter is O for open your heart. And in this section, I ask you, what's the most challenging thing you've ever experienced? How did you deal with it? And what have you learned from that experience? Now, I saw the film, so I'm not going to cheat. I'm not going to say anything. I'll let you say it. You might even surprise me. What's the most challenging thing you've ever experienced? How'd you deal with it? And what did you learn from that?
Probably the biggest, most difficult things I've done in my life, encounter the challenges is, as I mentioned, I'm a Christian, and when I pray to God, sometimes God seems not answering.
Mm, okay.
And it's a real tough test, the strength of our faith,
Yeah.
you know. And the one Indian child, and that talk about in my book and movie that I met her, she was intentionally blinded by her stepmother who poured sulfuric acid into her eyes, trying to make her a blind orphan child who
Mm,
more money is begging on the streets. We brought her here, and she was found to have no talent of singing. That's why she was abandoned afterwards. 5.5 years old. We
mm,
brought her here, and the film site is about their journey. her, how do our foundation help her? And we pray, we get everything right, and we got 3 host families to help her living in America. And
Mhm.
despite all that, despite our prayer, her surgery still failed. And I was devastated. And I thought, number one, if God has control for everything, why he would allow something so horrible happen to someone who is so precious? And, uh, you know, and not only that, why didn't he answer our prayer? So for many months, I was very depressed. I almost given up on eye surgeries because I feel that not only she couldn't get out of her darkness ever, and I was also going to be difficult for me to get out of my own emotional darkness of past sufferings during Cultural Revolution. So my faith in Christian faith got shaken because I feel that if God doesn't care, doesn't answer our prayer, that why we need to be a Christian. And as Christians, we all have the experience. We pray, and we sometimes the loved one still dies and still get sick, and it seems that God is not answering. So then a few months later, our foundation every year has an event called the Eye Ball, raise money to help those blind orphan children. With all the doctors, we donate our services. So that year's Eye Ball, 500 people attending, ball gown, tails, beautiful dancing. But then we always feature the patients we helped that year. That year was for Kajal, her story. So when evening started on stage, the 3 host families, American host families who took care of Kajal, were on the stage telling all of us how they took care of her, Kajal. And then it was the turn for these kids. And I was standing on the side with Kajal. I was still very mad. And my God, I still, so disappointed at the outcome. And then one of the boys went to the microphone and said, we play with Kajal every day, hide and seek, even though she couldn't see, but she managed to find me wherever I hid. But even though she had nothing, she couldn't even see, but she's playing with us, happy and joyful, and just we have good time all the time. So then the boy turned around to his father, standing behind him, said, "Daddy, I'm okay. Kajal had nothing, but she's happy. I don't need my iPod anymore."
Mm.
Right there, that's something that just a new realization just occurred to me standing on the side. I realized that perhaps God did answer, but in his way, at his time, meaning nobody wants to see such a tragic thing, malicious, intentional blinding happen to such a precious child. But God is using Kajal's suffering to make people around her appreciate more what they have in life, and also help Kajal herself. Even though Kajal shows that even though when no light is coming from outside, light could emanate from within if one has love. She heard in the film, you see that she heard I was going to go through another surgery, very stressed out, feeling it may fail again. She made it to the cross for me. She even found the space, not only move on behind her tragic past, what a tragic past, but also found a way to find space in her heart to love others. So then after that, I realized that God perhaps did answer, my faith got restored. At the end, Kajal and I went to the middle of the stage in the eyeball. It's our turn to speak, and I give Kajal a little microphone. I said, Kajal, say something. You can't see them, but there are 500 people who love you so much. She took the microphone, broke a little cute little smile because she had a little secret. She did not tell me. After she came to this country at age 5.5, remember she was intentionally blinded back home because they're trying to make a blind orphan child who can sing on the street, who can get more money. But she was then abandoned because she couldn't sing. The things that she wanted the most, finally she was able to come to a free nation. More than that, she wanted to see is she wanted to learn how to sing
Mm.
because she wants to show that she's worth keeping. She should not be abandoned again. So
Oh.
after she came to America, at her 5-year-old level of comprehension, that's all she wanted to do, learn how to sing. So together with other kids, the 3 host families, American families, they all learned to sing. So at that moment, when I give her the microphone, there was a picture that captured by Reuters that in the newspapers in over 70 nations, that's Thanksgiving that week in 2007, that Vijay took the microphone, broke a little smile because she told me she wanted to sing a song in front of 500 eyeball attendees. We all love her so much, tears in our eyes, that see this precious little child who suffered such unspeakable suffering, but yet managed to move on, to show all of us that we should all appreciate so much what we have, and shows that even the physical side is absent, the emotional, the spiritual side is even more precious. So she sang a song in front of all of us, the 500 eyeball attendees, and the title of the song, that she picked this song herself, was Jesus Loves Me.
Oh, wow. They're I hope there were boxes of Kleenexes on the tables.
Yes.
That I wish I had been there. What an amazing experience.
Yes.
So one of the things that you said, and I'm gonna paraphrase it and hopefully I won't butcher it. You said something uh about being that love, having that come from inside out, even when circumstances are bad, that joy. And that's something I think about often because my spirit, I call Hawaii my spiritual home. I've been there many times since the age of 8. Every time I've been, something major has happened in my life, all good. And recently, um, I was lamenting about not being able to spend more time there. But then I realized that if I can't go to that place where the aloha spirit is, then I need to be that aloha spirit. I need to just carry it with me everywhere that I go, and hopefully have people feel that aloha spirit when they're in my presence. And that was a game changer for me. It took me out of feeling bad and made me realize really how much I have to be thankful for. And my wife and I've been through a lot recently. She's battling stage 4 cancer. She had
Mm,
brain surgery last August at Johns
mm,
Hopkins, and she's doing well, but she's in treatment, and she'll be living with cancer for the rest of her life. And but we thank God every day. We thank God for every moment, whether it's a challenging moment or not. And
yeah,
you have reminded me of how important it is to be that light, be that love, be that aloha. Um, because who knows who's watching, who knows whose life is going to be changed as a result of that, just like you were impacted so deeply by that little girl.
yes, yes.
Yeah. So, moving on, you mentioned your charitable work, and I want to talk a little bit about that with you. So you have the Wang Foundation for Sight Restoration and also the Common Ground Network as well. Would you like to talk a little bit about the work of both of those organizations?
Yes, thank you. Before that, AJ, what's your wife's name? I want to write it down. I want to put her in my prayer.
Oh,
Um,
thank you. Thank you.
what's her name?
Her name is Jane, Jane,
Mm-hmm.
and same last name, Ali.
Okay,
She-
great.
she's a fighter.
Yes, tell her I'll put her in my prayer, and God will protect her, and I admire her courage and the positive attitude, the fighting on, and your support, AJ, and my best wishes to her. Really, it's
Thank you.
it's not easy. That's as a human being, think about nothing is as important as health, right? I mean, we need to have good health to be able to do everything. And when our health is being threatened in a fundamental way, such as cancer, it really changes our perspective,
Mm,
about life. Your question about the foundations, yeah, I have many foundations. I have 8 nonprofit organizations that I'm either leading, funding, or being a very active leadership position. And 2 of them were what that you mentioned. One is the Sci Foundation we built about 20 years ago, and the focus is to help blind orphan children and other patients from around the world, around the United States, who could not afford health care.
mm,
People who cannot afford healthcare is one major societal problem in America today. We got
Yeah.
wonderful technology, but if a patient cannot afford it, they will not be able to benefit. So I've been focusing on building this foundation, help those who cannot afford, who otherwise will remain in darkness, and how we can help them through training of doctors, through teaching other doctors how to use these technologies. I wrote 10 textbooks, ophthalmology technology textbooks for surgeons, and through recruiting volunteers to help, and also through working with missionaries traveling around the world who identify these blind orphan children patients. And the film site, which will come out May 24th, Memorial Day weekend in Asian Heritage Month, tells the story of some of these kids, their remarkable journey from darkness to sight. So that's our foundation. To me, as a Christian, it's the God's calling for me that I need to use my long, hard-earned medical skill. I got 2 doctorate degrees, 1 PhD in laser physics, 1 medicine, from Harvard and MIT. Took me 31 years to go to schooling to learn these things, is to put them into the best use. And that is Christ want me to help those who need the most help, blind orphan children. Second foundation is that's also the message for the film side. That is, we realize that our country is so polarized.
It is.
We're so unwilling to work together across political aisles, racial divides, and ethnic divisions. And the reason we're so polarized is because in many ways we have forgotten how blessed we are to live in America. We certainly, we don't have a perfect country. We do have our share of problems, racial tension, economic challenges, and all these things, poverty, education. But we have the best nation because people from around the world, those refugees on our border, they're normal people just like you and me. They want
Yes.
security, love as well. But they
Mhm.
put everything on the line so they can get to the other side. What's on the other side? An opportunity to live in America. So I think our country is so divided. We're so polarized. We're so unwilling to work together. It's because we have forgot our blessing. So Sight is a film to remind America, say, we live in a beautiful country. Let's appreciate America. Let's love this country, not by just saying it, but by action. And that action that proves that we truly love this country is how willing are we being able to try to work together to overcome our polarization and to find that common ground. And in the Common Ground Foundation, we study the methodology, how to find the common ground. And for example, in the film, also talk about, I wanted to do research to help these kids for many years. And I realized that they suffer injury and trauma, malnutrition and infection, and the eye got scarred up. So I want to figure out how to stop the scarring to restore eyesight in these blind orphan children. But then I realized the only person who does not scar is an unborn child. But can you do research on unborn child without hurting a baby? They say there's no common ground between science and faith. If up to, just a science alone without more ethical faith principles, we will do this research, stem cell research, fetal tissue research. But if up to the Christians and faith, moral, ethical, we may not want to do stem cell fetal research. But that second approach is also wrong because human beings, we are affected by 5 major causes of mortality today. Cancer, cardiovascular disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, and diabetes. So the only way to conquer these these 5 major causes of mortality today is through stem cell fetal research. So I wanted to find if there's common ground between science and faith to devise technology to learn from the little baby who can heal without scar before birth, but without hurting a life. So as a Christian, I prayed to Christ for a long time. I even wrote a book, Common Ground Bible Study. In one of my prayers, I was working with other scientists as well. The idea came that perhaps we can use the amniotic membrane that surround each of us before birth, and at birth we lose that membrane. So I went to hospital, get lots of placentas after mother giving birth to children. They're throwing away these placentas. So I get a placenta, bring to the laboratory, and start pulling this transparent membrane out of the placenta called amniotic membrane that surround each of us before birth. Maybe that membranes give the secret to an unborn child who can heal without scar. So eventually, through all research, I developed the amniotic membrane contact lens. And when I put these scarred amnion membrane, the fetal scarless amnion membrane contact lens, the placenta contact lens onto injured eyes, scarred eyes, I found indeed scars reduced, sight is restored. Amnion membrane contact lens, which is a story in this movie, has now been used by tens of thousands of eye doctors throughout the world in nearly every nation, and millions of patients have had eyesight restored. So amnion membrane contact lens, which is the movie Sight, is shown the story, how it's invented, shows that not only is the technology to help these kids, anybody who's injured in trauma, and also is now used to treat the aging eye condition called dry eyes. But
Okay.
also, it's not just a technology, but also show that science and faith do have common ground. So my passion for seeking common ground across all human endeavors, across all spheres, whether it's science or sociology or societal problems, is to kind of traverse all the work I've been doing in recent years. Published our foundation, Common Ground Network, has published several Common Ground books. The goal is remind us, ultimately, we all have shared humanity. We need
Yes.
to find the common ground.
Yeah, that's absolutely beautiful. We share that passion. Love is the answer exists to teach people how to love themselves and how to love other people. We do the work every day to help people learn how to love their neighbor. There's a program that we do called the Faith Community Challenge, where we're asking people that are in different congregations that don't look like each other
Mhm.
to break out of their silo and go have break bread, watch movies together, discuss them, read books together, discuss them, and go out in the community and do community work together, loving on people. And it's been extraordinary the churches that have taken us up on that offer to take that challenge, they've done quite well. They've gotten to know each other. They've made new friends and family members. And I will definitely be steering people towards common ground and the work that you're doing, that incredible work that you're doing, and maybe we can find some other ways that you and I can work together uh,
Mm.
as well, because we're totally in sync. I come from a multiracial background. As I had Jane Elliott, the teacher, on an earlier episode, and she says there's only one race, and that's the human race. And
That's
uh,
right.
and so you're my brother, and we may not look exactly alike, but you are my brother. We are family, Ohana, as they say in Hawaii,
Yes.
and we need to let people know that what you just said, we are truly better with each other.
Yes.
Yeah. Great stuff. So the volunteer part, that's the V in love, and you shared a little bit about your how you volunteer to make a difference. And now we got one letter left, and that's the E, and that stands for empower. And I love asking this question. If you knew that this was your last day on earth and Lester Holt from NBC News invited you to share one last message with the world to inspire people to be good to yourself and others, as he says, what would you say?
Mm. I will say, Lester, here's my last wish for my fellow human beings. There's a little rock flying blindly towards the deep recess of universe at a speed of 650 kilometers per second, not hour, per second, 650 kilometers per second, that towards the deep recess of universe. Now we do know why it is flying with such a maddening speed towards the deep recess of the universe, because there's a huge, huge black hole there attracting billions of Milky Ways towards that. And this flying rock can be hit by any meteoroid rock at any time. which will result in annihilation of its inhabitants on the rock. We are all vulnerable, fragile human beings on that little piece of flying rock. We have to share humanity. We have no other choice but trying to find a way to work together.
Amen. Amen. You put it all into perspective. A man of great vision. Thank you, Dr. Wang. Ming, my friend, my brother. I so appreciate you. The work that you do is incredible, but your heart is where it's at. And that's what I wish we could duplicate over and over in as many people as possible. So I will be supportive of you and your work for as long as I live. And I will share the message. I'll make sure a lot of people go out and see the film and get your books and participate in your Bible study and do everything they can to make the world a better place, just like you are. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And the film will be shown May 24th, Friday, Memorial Day weekend in Asian Heritage Month in theaters across North America. The film is called Sight.
And it's so important for people to go see it in the theaters, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
don't wait till it comes out on cable. Go see it in the theaters. You'll love the experience and maybe even meet a friend, maybe even make a friend or two and
Yes.
continue the discussion long after the film plays. It's that kind of film.
Exactly, because if you sit together with someone who you met for the first time, the close proximity, physical proximity, that's a common ground.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, AJ. Appreciate it.
Aloha.
Aloha. Thank you.